Yeah, so it's about O2. So we're gonna kind of go ahead and get started. Like I said, my name is Kyriakos Iliadis. I'm the program coordinator here at UNCF for the Teaching and Learning Center. We are joined today by Ashley Gatewood from CFRE International. She is going to be outlining the CFRE credential, how to obtain it, a little bit more about it, what it means, what it can do for your career as a fundraiser. Another pertinent information that was requested. So we are putting this webinar on for you. It'll be recorded. So if you want to go back or you have someone like someone that wanted to join, we can definitely share the recording with them. But with that, I am going to turn it over to Ashley for the starting of the webinar. So thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and get my screen share set up here. All right, great. Well, thanks for joining us today to learn more about the CFRE credential. We have several application deadlines throughout the year, and the next one is April 15th. So if you are looking to become a CFRE this year, that is a great date to have on your calendar. So what is the credential? We are the only globally recognized accredited credential for fundraising professionals. So there's no other globally recognized and accredited one. It's just us. We've been around since 1981, and everything we do is around best practice ethical fundraising. We all want to be fundraising to the highest standards, to be ethical by our donors, our stakeholders, our organization. But sometimes that can be hard to do if you haven't gone through a formal training program or you've kind of learned a little bit here and there. But the CFRE process is designed to give you that end-to-end assurance that your fundraising practice is aligned with ethical best practices. And there are currently over 7,700 CFREs worldwide. So when you're fundraising, you don't want to leave dollars on the table, right? You want to ensure that everything you're doing is buttoned up. The CFRE process is there to help you learn how to more effectively, ethically, and efficiently raise funds. And who doesn't want that, right? That's the aim of all of our jobs as fundraising professionals, right? You also want to be able to ensure that when you train staff that you are training them to the highest standards. So if you are a manager or if you are looking to move into a manager role, it's great to have your CFRE so that you can have full confidence in your own competence as you move forward and you train other people and you take on more responsibility. Degrees are wonderful. There are many fundraising certificate programs and degrees on the market, but there is a very big difference when you have a credential versus having a degree. A degree is something that you earn, and it is a snapshot in time of your learning, your knowledge, right? For instance, I have a master's in advertising from 2005, which is woefully out of date right now. I mean, the world has changed drastically since then, right? And that tends to be what happens with a degree. However, when you have a credential that you have to renew every 3 years, like the CFRE, it is a prompt for you to keep your fundraising practice current, to continue participating in professional development, and to ensure that your knowledge is always up to date, right? No matter how long you've been in your career, you want it to stay up to date. We have 2 CFREs who have been CFREs since 1981. And if they had never renewed their credential, right, that would be kind of a scary experience for all of us to think about, if they never did another piece of learning after that. But because they renew every 3 years, we know that they are staying up to date on the latest practices and information. So some people think, okay, why would I go for my CFRE? I am happy in my job. I think I'm meeting my targets. My donor conversations are going well. But there are many reasons to earn your CFRE and how it can enhance your career, and it can enhance your abilities and lift your confidence. So firstly is competence, right? This is how well you're able to do your job and your knowledge about your job. If you've never measured it against any best practices or standards, you don't know where your knowledge gaps are. If you don't know where your gaps are, you can't address them, right? Your credibility, we have over 80% of CFREs tell us that earning the credential enhance their credibility with their employer and the people that they work with and donors. This is incredibly important because just like you wouldn't go to an unlicensed hairdresser or you wouldn't go to an accountant who wasn't a CPA, people want assurance that you have earned the credential for your chosen profession, right? And to advance your career. The CFRE process will help you have the confidence, and it demonstrates your commitment. And Eugenia is going to talk on the next slide about some wonderful things. But it's a fantastic way to differentiate yourself in your career, right? If you're looking to get a promotion at your organization, you're at UNCF, you want to take on more responsibility, you want to begin managing people, you want to manage more people, you want to set strategy. You want to make sure that you have something behind you saying that you can do this, right? And that is what the CFRE helps bring. So with that, I'm going to introduce Eugenia Colon, who I am so excited is with us today. She is a long-time CFRE, and she is going to talk about 4 points about why she pursued her credential and why you should as well.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. I've been a CFRE since 2000, and I appreciate this opportunity to briefly discuss why I would urge you to pursue your CFRE credential. In terms of commitment, getting your CFRE is a commitment to yourself and to the profession. It's showing, the professionals that you work with or employers or potential clients, your commitment to be as knowledgeable, expert, and current and ethical fundraising professional as possible, and to always be learning. In terms of personal achievement, it's a testament to the body of knowledge that you have acquired, the expertise you've achieved, and it validates your professional credibility and standing, not only within our field, but globally. And it motivates you to continue to develop professionally. In terms of accountability, being a CFRE has demonstrated my accountability, I believe, to organizations I've worked with, to clients that I've worked with. But I think for me, what has been particularly valuable in terms of accountability is that the desire to recertify every 3 years holds me accountable to myself. I make certain that I do those things that will qualify me for recertification, like constant learning, taking webinars, and continuing education credits that are increasing my body of knowledge and keeping me current in the field. The fact that I am making certain that I do some volunteer work every year. Those are the things that some of the things that are required for recertification. And so my CFRE credential holds me accountable to the profession and to myself. And I would note that there are many webinars out there that are free, offered by organizations like CCS and Campbell consulting firms. And a number of them offer you CEUs, but others CFRE will consider as counting toward your educational and professional development, even though they don't offer the CEUs. I would say in terms of recognition, when I started working as a fundraiser, going on 30 years ago now, fundraising was not really seen as a quote unquote profession. It was more or less perceived as, and I'm going to be blunt here, as a field that people who didn't have the credentials to be in a certified valid profession went into to do good work, but they were not always deemed professional. Thanks to the CFRE, fundraising is now recognized as a serious, significant profession. It's a profession that once you've achieved your CFRE, you have demonstrated a body of knowledge, expertise, commitment, and dedication to constant learning and best practices. And over the 23 years that I've been a CFRE, whether I've been applying for a job in an organization or in my years as a consultant, I can tell you that, for example, clients like the Clinton Foundation, the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, when they were interviewing me to serve them as a consultant, there were comments made to the effect that they were delighted that I was a certified fundraising executive, that I had that credential. So I know that there are any number of jobs and clients over the years that I'm confident I got in no small part due to the fact that I held that credential. And I would say that I mentioned to Ashley when we spoke about this last week, I have told people over the years, if I were unemployed, I would flip burgers at McDonald's to be able to afford my research fee. And one of the blessings we have through this partnership between UNCF and CFRE is that on the UNCF side, whether we're first sitting for the credential or recertifying, we get a really respectable discount. Is that the right word to use, Ashley?
Correct. Yeah.
For the fee. So I would really urge you to pursue this credential. And I should also say, I'm not a joiner. I'm a New Yorker. I'm skeptical of almost anything and everything. But this credential, when I was encouraged to get it 23 years ago, has been gold in my professional life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Eugenia. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
All right, so we're going to talk now about how you go about getting the credential. What are the steps? So the first one is to complete and submit your application. Once you have submitted it, we will review your application. And then when it's approved, you'll get an email with how to book your exam. That's the second piece, is the exam. And then you'll make your appointment. And then when you take the exam and pass, you are a CFRE. Very straightforward. It is completely free to begin your application. I highly, highly encourage you to do it, even if you are just contemplating the CFRE, you're not really sure. Maybe you'll do it, maybe you won't. But one of the great things about this application is that it gives you the ability to track the education that you attend. This is wonderful because when you have your annual review, you can talk to your boss and you can point out all of the education that you've done. You can do it for yourself. You can see it in one space. Maybe, okay, I did a lot of major gifts last year. This year, I think I need to focus a little bit more on this area. It's just a wonderful place for you to track that. Now, obviously, we want you to submit your application, but if you're just weighing it up today, there's no risk to start it for free. So the application is going to look at what you've done over the last 5 years. That means that right now we're looking at January 1, 2019 forward. The application itself will not expire. So if you created one a few years ago, we still have it, and you can log in and out of it as much as you like. The application looks at a few areas of your professional involvement. The first is education you've participated in. So this is the webinars, conferences, master classes, all of that great stuff that you've attended. Then it looks at how long you've been fundraising. And then it looks at the funds you've raised. So those are the 3 areas that this application is going to look at. And I'm going to get into what each of these sections covers. So you will earn points, and I won't get all the way down into the points rabbit hole today by any means, but I'll tell you high level how it all works. You will get points for attending fundraising education and also relevant non-fundraising education. So that can be like finance classes, PR, public speaking, marketing, things like that that we know can draw a line to you and your fundraising success. And if you ever present fundraising education, you can get points for that too. You don't have to present education, but if you do, just know that you will be able to get credit for that. if you present something that is related to your job, so you make a presentation to your board or your training staff, that isn't going to count. But if you are, let's say, if there's a development conference that you go to and you make a presentation there that's outside of your work duties, that is going to qualify. So I would recommend that you bookmark that application page, and then as soon as you attend education, just log it in there. So master classes, webinars, conferences, all that good stuff I mentioned, make sure that you're tracking it in there, and then that's what's going to help you meet that education requirement. We also have inside the application what we call education from approved providers. UNCF is an approved provider. This means that if you attend any trainings offered by UNCF and they submit them to us, that inside the application, you can easily find these through a drop-down menu. They'll just be in there. It'll effectively be almost like it's searchable. And you won't have to enter the information about the education you attended yourself. If you are looking to earn more points quickly, I highly recommend that you go to my education finder on our website. This is a tool that lets you search for education, and it's just a great resource to have a one-stop shop for all of this. A lot of the trainings on here are free and low cost. A number of people have said, you know, I would listen to a 1-hour webinar on my lunch hour every day until I hit this requirement. So it is a very manageable one to do. And it's right there on our homepage. And then there you can select if you want to attend something online, in person, or on demand. And right down there, you'll be able to see the price and how many points it's worth. There are many, many, many ways to earn qualifying education points. One great thing I want to point out, though, is audio and video conference recordings. This is incredible because if you go to a conference, right, you can only be in one place on the day, right? So you're in the sessions that you're in, and then all of the sessions you couldn't attend. If the conference organizer makes those available virtually afterwards, you can get points for watching those. That means off the cost of one conference registration, you can bank up a very high number of points. All right, now the second part of the application is professional practice. And this just means that you have worked in a paid professional fundraising role for 36 months in the last 5 years. So again, we're looking from January 1, 2019 forward. So if you've already worked 36 months in a paid professional fundraising role, you have met that requirement. At least 50% of your job responsibilities need to be related to fundraising. All right, now professional performance. This is you raising money. You need to have been on a team that has raised 1.75 million US dollars in the last 5 years, or your work has raised that. What I mean by that is, let's say you work on a DM piece with your team and it brings in $250,000. There's no way to say, okay, well, April brought in 50,000 of that and Eugenia brought in 60,000 of that, right? We don't know that. So what you would do is you would take that complete $250,000 and you would put that amount in, because we know that fundraising is a team sport, right? So that is how that works. And then you will just enter that funds raised until you hit that dollar amount. For fundraising events and DM pieces and all of that, you will report the gross. All right, now the discount was mentioned earlier, and what that means is that the regular cost to submit your initial application is $875. However, if you are with UNCF, you get a 20% discount, which is great, and you will pay $700. This is an all-inclusive fee, and it includes us reviewing your application, all of the testing fees when it's time for you to take your exam. And then when you pass the exam and you become a CFRE, you will get a digital badge that you can use to announce this to your networks. And we will also send you your official certificate. So you can frame that if you want. Sometimes people like to have it right behind them. So on Zoom, it comes up and then you'll be able to have that. All right, so some application tips are when you start your application, use your personal email address. This will just help ensure that we can always reach you. So if you have a name change or anything like that, we'll be able to get in touch with you. I highly recommend that you create a folder called CFRE Proof inside your email inbox, and you just save any event agendas, registration, confirmation emails from education you attend, all of that in there. So that'll jog your memory. So in case you don't have the chance to log education straight away, you'll be able to turn to that and find it in there. Some, in the case of the UNCF trainings, you don't necessarily have to save that. You know, I'm sure that they'll be able to verify that you registered, but just it's something to keep in mind if you do trainings outside of UNCF. All right, so that was all about the application. Are there any questions? We can stop and take them, and I can answer questions, or if you have any questions for Eugenia about her experience with the CFRE, she can also give you some insight. All right, we're all good. I will move on over to the CFRE exam. The exam is offered during 4 annual test windows, which you can see here on your screen. This means that when you have had your application approved and it's time to take the exam, these are the dates between which you can take it. So every month of the year except for December. The exam covers 6 knowledge domains that you see here on your screen. These are effectively all the high level topics that the exam is going to have questions about. You're going to note that securing the gift and relationship building make up half the exam, right? These are super important to your success as a fundraising professional. You have to be able to build relationships and you have to be able to get that gift in. The exam is a generalist exam. Okay, so it's not going to ask you about tax laws in Canada. You know, it's all best practice information that is going to apply no matter where in the world you work, right? The exam, we have it further broken out into the test content outline on our website. You can download this PDF. What you'll do is print it off and then grab a highlighter and highlight all of the areas that you haven't directly worked in yourself or that you don't feel confident you could answer an exam question about. That is going to direct you towards what you need to study, right? So everybody is going to come to the exam with a different body of knowledge. We've all had different careers. We all have different areas of expertise. We've all had different bits of experience. And so there is not necessarily a one size fits all study plan because it's going to be based on where your knowledge gaps are or you just haven't yet had experience. When you get to the exam, it is 200 questions. And the good news is that it's multiple choice. There are 4 answer options per question, which means the correct answer is staring back at you, and you will select for the best answer of the best practice. This is important because sometimes people get tripped up with this. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes people make when they take the exam, is that they'll answer for maybe how they were fundraising in a previous job, or an old supervisor told me that I should do this or that. But if that wasn't the best practice, then that may not necessarily be, I mean, it won't necessarily be a great strategy for you. That's what you will take away from the CFRE process, right? Is that you will ensure that you are following ethical best practices, all right? And so that is how you will approach the exam. So knowing what to study, this is an area that really trips a lot of people up. They get nervous about it and they think, oh, I don't know. I looked at the test content outline. There's a lot on there. How do I know where to start? Well, just be really honest about your strengths and weaknesses. One thing that people sometimes do is overestimate their abilities, right? Because sometimes people think, well, I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't need to study. That is not a good strategy because all of us need to brush up. All of us need to make sure that we are following today's practices. So most people study about 40 to 80 hours for the exam. So that's a really good guideline. If you have fewer than 5 years of fundraising experience, you will likely need to study closer to that 80-hour mark. Just think about where your experience lies and remember that this exam is not about rote memorization. You don't have to memorize 50 definitions. This is about you applying actual knowledge. We have a number of resources on our website to help you with the exam. One is the candidate handbook, and then we talked about the test content outline. We have a glossary. This is the language of the exam. So this is all of the terminology. I highly recommend that you start with that, and it will ensure that you know the vocabulary so that when we say, a gift, this is precisely what we mean. When we, each thing you're going to feel very confident and comfortable that you understand what you're being asked. We do offer a practice exam. I think it's like over 90% of CFREs say that they have used this practice exam, which is awesome. It really helps you get back into the test taking frame of mind. It is a subscription and it is $59.95 for 30 days subscription or $99.95 for a 90-day subscription. You can go in there and you can take as many practice exams as you want. It's going to also help you identify where you do and don't know things. A lot of people think I haven't taken an exam since high school or college. It's just been so long, and they get this exam anxiety before they've really even started studying. So I just recommend that you kind of keep your anxiety in check and know that we do have a number of resources to help you. We also have a study guide, which a lot of people like if you are into kind of an old school workbook style. This is going to help you with some practice questions, and then it has some really great advice in general about how to approach and think about the CFRE exam. There are a number of study groups out there. You can find them on our website in the exam prep section. People love study groups because they keep you accountable, right? You have time every week or every month that you have decided you're going to meet with people. And so when life gets kind of crazy and in the way, you can make sure that you are sticking to your study schedule. They're also a great way to expand your network. We've had a number of people tell us how many people they met from their study group that they have stayed in touch with and that they call upon for professional advice and knowledge. And many, many study groups are free. So I would highly recommend that you check out that study group page. For studying success, a lot of it has to do with your mindset, right? It is about what am I going to think about that is going to help me be successful, right? Sometimes people get into this kind of doom mindset, like, I'm so scared of this exam. But you want to think about this positively, that the studying is going to help you have a better body of knowledge. It's going to lift your confidence because you're going to feel like you know more than you've ever known before. And it's going to really help you move your career forward. Many people study about 6 to 12 weeks. This is kind of a sweet spot. Once you submit your application, it's approved, you have up to a year to take the exam, but that 6 to 12 week spot is a really good starting point if you're not sure. A number of people have also told me that they studied on their lunch hour. That can be a great way if after work is a little hectic for you, if your weekends are really committed. All right, so we have a practice question. This question does not appear on the live exam, but it will kind of give you a flavor for how questions are asked. And I'll go ahead and read it. You don't have to tell me your answer, but and I'll reveal the answer in a minute. All right, so when a donor wishes to make a planned gift / bequest to the endowment fund, the fundraising officer should first, 1, offer to contact the donor's financial organization and advisor. 2, explore what the donor wishes to accomplish with the gift. Or 3, identify and share with the donor the organization's future needs. Or 4, introduce the donor to various planned giving options. All right, everybody have their answer in mind? Okay. And it's 2, to explore what the donor wishes to accomplish with the gift. This is because ethically, you don't want to steer the donor in any particular direction, right? You want the donor to come to you with what their philanthropic goals are, and you will help them achieve them, right? So this is a great way for you to understand how the exam questions are, right? This isn't something super specific about, math and figures and how am I going to make this goal and that kind of thing. This is a best practice that is going to apply to you no matter where you work, no matter where you are in your career, right? And I have another question break here. I saw that there is a bunch of stuff in the chat. So let me see if there's any questions in there. Let's see. Okay. I don't think there's any questions, but if you have any, feel free to drop them in and I will be sure to address those. When you take the exam, you have 2 options of how you want to take it. You can either take it from your home or office, or you can go in person to a Pearson VUE test center. Pearson VUE is a company that has test centers all over the place. Maybe you've not heard of them, but there is more than likely one near you. We highly recommend that you go to the test center. You statistically have a better chance of passing the exam when you go to an actual test center. We get all the data back, so we know that this is true. This is because the exam center is designed to be a distraction-free zone. So you aren't going to have to worry about, is that Amazon package going to arrive while I'm taking this exam? It's going to be a lot easier for you to concentrate. And I'm going to show you here. This is a map of Baltimore. I put in Baltimore into pearsonvue.com/CFRE, and it populates this with a list of all of the test centers and a map as well, so you can see exactly where you're able to take this exam. So if you want to just check the exam center availability, there you go. The exam itself is fully computer-based and it's global. So whether you sit for it in Canada or the US or anywhere, you're going to be accessing the exact same exam. You will have 4 hours to take the exam, and everything on the exam ties back to the test content outline. Nothing is going to come at you from left field. You're always going to know what is happening. You're going to know, okay, I knew that this topic was going to be covered because I highlighted it on the test content outline and I made sure my studying took it into consideration. You can move backwards and forwards inside the exam. So this is really great if you get hung up on question 60, but question 99 jogs your memory. You can just go back to question 60, right? So you're going to be able to move around that exam in a way that's comfortable for you. You are not penalized for an incorrect answer. So the exam is essentially adding up the number of questions that you got right, if that makes sense. And each question is assigned a different number of points. And that's based on how difficult the question is. You are not going to know what questions are worth which points. That's kind of all behind the scenes. So you will just want to be answering as best you can for each question. One tip that I have for the exam is to really slow yourself down and read every word in every question and every answer option. This is because when we are anxious, our brain starts reading incorrectly, right? The word through looks like the word thorough, things like that. So just slow yourself down because you have 4 hours most people finish in about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So you're going to have plenty of time to go back, check your answers, read things another time. It's all good. You also have the ability to flag questions, which is also super useful as you're moving back and forth around to know where you want to go back and focus your time. The 200 questions are divided into 2 sections. So you will be given access to the first 100 questions to begin. You can move around in them however you want. And then when those questions are answered, you will be given the option to take a 10-minute break. If you don't want to take this break, that's totally fine, but you will have that option there for you. When this break begins, that is your opportunity to use the restroom. You can take medication, you can have a snack, you can do whatever you need to do. You will not be able to access your phone or any study materials during this break. When the break begins, you will also not be able to go back to those first 100 questions. They will be considered answered and locked away. And so you will then move into the second set of 100 questions after your break. All right, so the exam has a score range of 200 to 800. 500 is the passing score. Somebody who leads a lot of CFRE study groups said to me, people should not worry about getting an 800. They should think about getting the 500, right? You don't want to study to 500 because you obviously want to have some space in case, something's incorrect. But don't come to this exam and think, I have to get 100% of the questions right. I have to have a perfect exam. That's just a way that people kind of really get into this anxiety slippery slope, and it doesn't serve them well. So just keep that in mind, that there is room for you to not know something. After you pass the exam, within 1 to 2 business days, you're going to get a confirmation email from us. So you're in the test center, you pass the exam, they will likely be able to tell you there you passed it, and then we will get the information from the test center. And then we will send you an email and say, hey, we got your score, everything's great, congratulations. Within about a week, you will get a digital badge. This is what you can use on LinkedIn and Twitter to announce to your networks that you are a CFRE. At the end of the test window, we mail all the certificates in a batch. So just know if you sit for the exam early in the test window and you pass, that there will be some time that elapses before your certificate reaches you. All right, we've talked about recertifying. You will need to recertify every 3 years to maintain your CFRE credential. You don't want to lapse because you don't want to take the exam again if you decide to come back to being a CFRE. So just make sure that you recertify on time. We will send you reminders. You will be able to see it in your My CFRE account at all times, so it won't surprise you. You also get a discount of 20% off the recertification fee when you are with UNCF. So you can see that's $408. As soon as you pass the CFRE exam, you are given access to your recertification application. This is what is going to allow you to track your education, your professional performance, and your time in the profession as you work towards the recertification. All right. And we have an ambassador program that I highly recommend that you take advantage of if you would like to speak to somebody who is a CFRE. This is a great way for you to get advice and knowledge from a current CFRE who will be able to help you with your CFRE journey. I am the person who runs this program, so if you would like to be matched with the CFRE ambassador, you can email me at share@cfre.org, and I will be glad to do that for you. All right. And so that is the overview of how to become a certified fundraising executive. Are there any questions? We have plenty of time for Q&A. I'm happy to dive into anything more that you would like to cover. All right. Well, if you have any questions, or actually, let me see, did anything come in through the question pane?
No,
Nope, it looks like
no,
we're
you're
good.
good. I do just want to uplift something that actually was in the chat. That the UNCF discount is also for member institutions as well. So if you're
Yes,
at
that's
a member
correct.
institution and in an institutional advancement position, it's the discount counts as well as UNCF employees. So just wanted to uplift that. Yeah, we have some time. So if anybody has any questions or any thoughts, comments, we have some time.
Oh, we've got a hand
Oh,
raised.
we got a hand raised. Yes.
This may have been covered prior to me joining on the call today. But did you discuss study materials?
Yes, we do have a number of study materials that are there to help support you. So one thing that I'll super recommend is the Achieving Excellence in Fundraising book. This is one of the most popular books that people use to prepare. Even, you know, kind of outside the CFRE, Achieving Excellence in Fundraising is really the gold standard in fundraising books right now. So this is a book that's great to read just regardless. Then we have the practice exams that you can use. We have the Exam Compass Study Guide, which is the workbook. And then we have on our website the glossary, and we also have a study plan template. It's a PDF that you can download, and that's really awesome because it just walks you step by step through how to prepare for the exam. Did that answer your question? Do you have
Thank you for
another
that question.
question?
No, you answered it. I put my hand down.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Comments? Anybody know for a fact that they're gonna get off this call and register for their CFRE?
Yeah, I can put the link through the chat if you want to go ahead and start your account. Like I said, it doesn't cost you anything to do it. And it just pays to do it early so that you can track all of your education. So today's webinar is going to count in that non-fundraising education section that I mentioned. So you have 1 point right now. Then what I would encourage you to do is to go back and look at the education you've attended over the last 5 years. A great way to do that is to jog your memory through going through your calendar, expense reports, credit card statements if you want, registration confirmation emails you might still have. Then that way you can figure out how many points you're already coming to the CFRE process with. Most people tell me, they're like, I'm so surprised. I had a lot more points than I thought I did. I started entering them in and I realized I only had 20 points to go. If you have an academic degree, we can also give you points for that. Eugenia mentioned volunteering. That's another way that you can earn points. So if you volunteer with your place of worship or your children's school, any other organization, that is going to help you get those education points up, even faster. So it's a great way to make that happen.
Wonderful, thank you. I know Dr. Shauna Akbar has her hand up. Shauna?
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you so much for that. That was very informative. I'm curious, for those who obtain their CFRE or once they get it, are there ways to work with your organization, CFRE? For instance, I'm not sure how the exams are developed or working in other capacities, even with CFRE.
Absolutely. We have an exam committee. We have the ambassador program, which is a way a lot of new CFREs want to give back. So they say, I became a CFRE. I want to mentor somebody else as they go through that process. But yeah, we have a number of committees and we do draw from the current certificate body of people to be part of them.
Great, thank you. Good to know.
question, Shauna. Thanks.
Swap slides.
Ashley, if you'd like, you can stop sharing your screen and then I can do the final slide because I have some
Sure.
thank you. So thank you again for joining us today. If you'd like to learn more about our the credit classes that count for the CFRE credit, you can go to the Philanthropy Institute and it'll show you the courses that we have that again you can get for credit. So that's going to be at it's a bit.ly/philanthropy institute. The P and the H are going to be capitalized, or the P and the I are going to be capitalized. Philanthropy Institute, sorry about that. If you have any questions or need any support, feel free to contact the UNCF Philanthropy Institute, UNCFPI at uncf.org. You can also email me if you have any questions. Again, my name is Kiriakou-Eliadis. I'm the program coordinator for the Teaching Learning Center, but Philanthropy Institute is within the Teaching Learning Center. So my email and contact is there. I also have listed Geneva Dampere, who is on this call as well. She's the Director of Strategy and Operations for the Teaching and Learning Center, and also does work a lot of work with the Philanthropy Institute. So her contact is there as well. But we have a little bit more time. So if anybody has another question or anything else, we can hang out for a little bit, but if not, you are free to get 12 minutes back of your day. We will also be sending this recording out. So if you wanted to reference back to it, you will be able to, after we download it, publish it, we can send it out. And then you can also send it to anybody who wasn't able to join that you know would be interested. But yeah, thank you again for joining us. Thank you to Ashley and Eugenia. Really appreciate you, Ashley, laying out the certification. I think you did a really great job, very clear, very concise. So appreciate that. And Eugenia, thank you for offering your words of wisdom and also experience of how that credential has impacted your professional career. We really appreciate it. So with that, yeah.